Hello. It is very early in the morning. It is right now 8:16. So, I woke up. Well, I couldn't go to sleep at all last night. Um, again. But I drank, um, a energy drink. It didn't help that much. I'm still tired. But I'm also kind of hyper. So it doesn't it works, but it also doesn't work. So I'm drinking tea. But anyways, this is Tea in a Bar by Tia Black Charm. Chapter 26. Answers in a Notebook. Page. No, wait. Summary. Pages and pages hold more than just written words. Warning. Description of bullying, distressing statistics, and talks of death. Nezu was looking at a pile of notebooks on his desk. They were the notebooks that Yamada had brought back from Midoriya-kun's room. Nezu remembered listening to Aizawa and Yamada's description of the household. It was upsetting. It was upsetting, and he had some relief when they described the student's room. Apparently, the boy was not just an All Might fan, but had the merchandise of various heroes. Even things in the relations to the two heroes that had into his home. Nezu smiled a bit more genuinely when Yamada told him about the little drawing of Eraserhead's goggles they had seen. But currently, Nezu was not smiling anymore. He had just gone through the boys' notebooks, and as amazing as they were, full of information and clear signs of a mind Nezu wanted to know more about. What he found in those pages did not paint a pretty picture at all. It had taken a while to even begin reading the pages as Midoriya had encoded them. While it wouldn't have been significant against someone who had bad intentions, Nezu had the early notebooks of Midoriya when eh. Nezu had the early notebook of when Midoriya had started out, and so cracked the code when cracking the code went by faster, with using the along with using the use of high specs. The first notebook was done in crayon and markers. The cover was decorated in poorly drawn figures of res- of variously recommendable pro-heroes, but written as clear as a child can was the title. Hero Analysis for the Future, number 1. It was in the corner written in green marker with Izuku's name, with Midoriya Izuku. With, ah, in the corner, written in green marker, was the name Midoriya Izuku. As Nezu turned the page, he knew that in the beginning, Midoriya was a very happy child and very excited, especially when it when it came from heroes. As he read the misspelling and rushed words, Nezu found himself feeling the red remembrance of the child's wonder and amazement. But he can also see a young mind overflowing with questions and ideas. Over the pages, he saw some he saw some important im- ah over the pages he saw some improvement in handwriting and spelling. After finishing the first notebook, there was no doubt in Nezu's mind that Midoriya must have been a lovely little boy. That that the boy wanted to be a hero. That the boy was kind. Which was why it was so disappointing to see the following notebooks. Ab- Abundantly, oh, no, abedit, still rough, and handwriting, and with childish drawings inside. There was signs that Midoriya had cried while writing in it. The excitement that had been first, the excitement that had been busted and overflowed, and overflowing seemed more hesitant and dim. There was a sense of anxiousness among the words, an anxiousness that only seemed to grow with each page. By the end of the second and third notebook, Nezu, sorry about that, my earbuds turned off. By the end of the second and third book, Nezu knew that Midoriya was dealing with anxiety that seemed to be getting worse. The next notebook, there was there are signs of this. Dry tears, marks, joined, stilted words. There were sentences that had looked neat until the line was slashed through the entire page. It didn't take a genius to know that Midoriya had been pushed while he was writing. It was not the only time that it happened. Each page showed more signs that the notebook was pulled away or pushed while the boy was trying to write about a new hero they had seen, or a, possibly a, a possible application of a quirk. Interesting ideas were overshadowed by signs of something being erased repeatedly, like someone kept making him mess up. Nezu could see the frustration building as Midoriya's hand was probably moving away and shoved. Errors in misspelling and grammar were left in place as it looked like he was trying to write things quickly. Irritate, Irritation was something that Nezu occasionally felt, and as he felt as and he felt it as he looked at what was supposed to be an an intelligently endeavor being disrespected. That was not the only emotion he felt when he saw the dried up blood on the next notebook. Bloodstains. The drawing of a new hero that came out. Blood among the description of weaknesses that could be accounted for with the use of support gear. Blood was beside the small notes about the hero's personality and handling of victims and police officers. There were many pages of blood that there was many I missed it. There were many ways for blood to find its place among the pages. He could have been ambushed while writing. He could have been writing while sporting a bloody nose. He might have been writing even though he was hurt, might have been looking over the pages while he was patching himself up. There was one scenario Nezu was disgruntled that came to his mind. Midoriya was being held and showed his notebook, possibly being told how stupid it was and being hurt, being forced to watch, as some drops of blood stained the pages he worked so hard for. Of course, Nezu is a genius, and he was not wrong. There were many times that Midoriya's notebook was belittled as he was being hurt. There was many times where a teacher had grabbed it and held it up while awaking around the class. They would say, "It is important to focus on what you can actually do, children. It is not smart to focus on impossible dreams that would never become reality." There were so many times where Midoriya's analysis was looked over and judged to be nonsensical ramblings of a quirkless boy just because they realize it, didn't realize it was in code. They could never imagine someone so underdeveloped was able to create a code all on their own. One particular notebook stuck out to Nezu. There was both burn marks and water damage. There was also a remain a remaining hint of sewage on it. It was probably not any noticeable to it may not have been noticeable to humans, but with Nezu's nose, he could smell it. He did not like the implications of it, and his mind went back to the television incident of the sludge villain, where Bakugo and Midoriya had been involved in. Nezu felt irritated when he came across All Might's signature scrawled across the two pages. After those pages, nothing else was written. Nezu closed the notebook, Midoriya Izuku was bullied severely. Nezu felt upset that it was never brought up to him by All Might, the man who chose Midoriya Izuku to be his successor. All Might had seen in that notebook that was burnt, and he had written in it, but it never did it look like Yagi was concerned about Midoriya's mental well-being. Never did the man check up on Nezu or come to him to talk about how to help someone who the past had less than than pleasant school experiences. Nezu was also upset with himself. He knew Midoriya had been quirkless before, and he most likely had been bullied to an extent, but he didn't know it was to that extent. Nezu wanted to believe that the school would have not allowed such thing. Nezu was not human, so he could never fully comprehend them, and most it was most likely due to that he could to oh my gosh. It was most likely due to this that he had been ignorant to the pain that Midoriya had suffered. Maybe he didn't want to know. Maybe a small part of him thought surely humans did not treat a human child like that. So cruel that it reminded him of the white coats and white walls and cages. But that did not but that was not the case. Nezu was able to see what it was that he was missing that see what it was that his missing student had experienced. He had been able to gain a peek of small peek at the mind he wished he knew and held so much intelligence and potential to become so much more. All Might never told him that Midori liked to analyze. It was clear that the boy did not bring it up to his teacher, Aizawa's, um, despite Aizawa's demeanor towards him. The man could have brought Midoriya to him if he had known. Aizawa was adamant to help his student reach their fullest potential and bring Midoriya to him to discuss theories and analysis would have been just that. But clearly, not only Midoriya was good at analyzing, but also hiding what he did, not what he did not want the others to know. Nezu, are you okay? Nezu looked up and found Aizawa sitting in the seat in front of his desk, looking at him, concerned. Ah, yes. Just lost it in my mind for a moment. We were discussing Midori. We were discussing Izuku's notebooks, were we not? Nezu asked, knowing that Aizawa preferred to use his student's given name according to what Yamada told him. Yes, you were telling me about signs of bullying and how the problem child is smarter than he portrays himself as. Do you think the reason he was kidnapped for his analysis? Nezu waved a paw in the air. It is a possibility, but I do not believe so. All the, though, throughout all the notebooks, including those were written about his classmates in the, the faculty of UA, there were no signs of ill intention. When, whenever he wrote of weakness, he always wrote it in a way to make up for them, to make them safer. I believe that it would it was very unlikely that any villain would be getting any harmful information out of Izuku anytime soon. Nezu finished. He said this because even after all the boy had experienced, Nezu could see that the boy was kind. He had only wanted to help. He found himself contemplating biting someone who suggests otherwise. Aizawa would probably help him escape the repercussions of doing so, although there was a part of him that looked at the other possibilities that pointed out that Izuku could have reached his limit and decided to join the villains, doling out the pain he suffered for all those years. The possibility that society had truly broken a kind boy Izuku was, the kind boy that Izuku was, and twisted it into someone who wanted to hurt others. The boy, who was fully capable of doing so, with frightening effectiveness, if the notebook told him anything. But that was not something he wanted to think about, not something he wanted to point out to Aizawa, who probably already knew this, and the man did, but he refused to believe that that was what had happened. Nezu wanted to believe that the young, excited, and kind boy he saw in the first notebook was still there, albeit very much tired and hurting. He wanted to help Izuku grow his potential, his intelligence, so that he would be able to help people in the best way he could. Izuku was human. That Nezu truly believed could change things for the better. But in order to do that, they had to make sure to help him, to give him the support that he needed. Ex- except, except that was hard to do when they were missing. But he had thought about how the video footage of the scarred man showed them pulling Izuku into the warp. How they had taken medical supplies that Izuku obviously needed. Izuku most likely did not Izuku was most likely not a villain, but there were possibilities that villains were actually helping the boy. Nezu actually hoped that was the case because the time the time was right. They were ready. They would be ready to help Izuku too. Izuku was wearing a black turtleneck and red gloves after practically being ordered by Toga to wear them. Of course, Izuku didn't mind indulging the girl, given that she was going to show him more knife throwing skills later in the day. He also liked that the marble stood out against the black of his shirt, although he wondered why Compress had seemed to freeze once the man saw him. He he decided to ask Toga later, as he had smiled like she knew something funny when it happened. He was sitting at the bar, enjoying another cup of tea, feeling very relaxed when Twice asked him a question. Why do you keep wearing those red shoes? Did did Kirigiri and Compress forget shoes? Shit, I forgot to get those measurements. And but who cares? It's just shoes. Not fully thinking things through, Izuku responded as absent-mindedly. Uh, it's the only type of shoe. It's hmm, messed up. It's the only type that is made for people who are quirkless because it because of the extra toe joint. Other shoes don't fit right and are uncomfortable. These are why only these are the only ones I can wear. It was oddly silent after he answered Twice's question, and then he realized why until the realization hit him. The tension hit Izuku as he had walked into it, as if he had walked into a freezing room. Suddenly, the tea he was holding did not seem warm anymore. What do you mean, quirkless? You're quirkless? Shigaraki asked, confused. Izuku tried to keep his voice steady despite panicking and chaos going in his mind. Well, I used to be, until the beginning of the school year. I had the extra joint toe, I had the extra toe joint and everything, but it turned out that I just had to wait until my body could handle my quirk. And even now, it still breaks my bones and tears my muscles. But before that, I was quirkless, Izuku said, pretending that he wasn't digging himself a deeper hole. He was afraid to look at them and to see their face looking at him in disgust, but he was forced to look because he had to know if he had to leave. When he turned, he did not see a single expression of disgust or anger. Instead, they all looked confused and concerned. What? He asked nervously, because no one had yet to say something. What do you mean, what? Dabi exclaimed, but made no move to come towards Izuku, like, which he appreciated. Dude, you just told us you've been quirkless for like 10 years. And knows that you can, if anyone knows that the shit you go through just because of it, because of shitty quirk, we sure know what you had gone through was fucking shitty as hell. And they were right. Izuku was in a bar full of people who were wronged and angry at how they were treated at sometime or another. They still had their quirks. They still had their quirks. They still had to deal with society. While Izuku now had a quirk, guilt and shame crept up on Izuku like a bug on his own skin. He had shifted in his seat. I know. But I have a quirk now, and it isn't the same at UA. He found himself saying, as if years of abuse was nothing important. No one looked convinced. What would you have done if you hadn't gotten a quirk? Twice asked, oddly calm. Izuku shrugged. He thought about what could have happened. His brain started to remind him of important information reading the day he had gone home after gotten diagnosed. All numbers and facts pointed in one direction, and Izuku found himself feeling detached as he responded, "I would probably be dead." Izuku continued, as if he didn't feel the oppressive silence that had taken over the bar. One of the kids in the school could have gone too far. They like to use their quirk on me. They like to use me as quirk practice. And I saw a few cases of someone died because of a quirk accident at school and news. There were hate crimes against people who are quirkless. Then there are people who treat them like pets. So human trafficking is an issue where they were getting kidnapped and sold off, or probably killed for sport in some areas. He remembered how scared he had. He remembered how scared he had been to go outside after reading the stories of children taken from their home at night and the park during the day. It didn't help that Inko reminded him that she needed to know where he was at all the time because of the bad man who would take him away. And there's the big thing with suicide. With a lot of people who are quirkless died because of suicide. Mostly because everyone is always telling them to die and kill themselves. The regular stuff. Izuku said with a smile. And with a smile that was anything but happy. And he took a sip of the tea even though he couldn't taste it. Either way, it would lead to me being dead 6 feet under the ground. Eh, I messed that up. Either way, it would have led me to be dead 6 feet under the ground, having a good nap, having a good sleep. Izuku chuckled and gripped the teacup a little too hard before he let go. There was something he had known since he was little. It was just a fact in his life, something he had to accept or not think too hard, because then his mind is overcome with spider lilies and rooftops. So he focused on the teacup in front of him and the overbearing silence in the bar. The next thing he knew, he was being jerked from his chair, being moved, uh, and suddenly an armful of Toga, the girl, was squeezing him so tight, her face hidden in his chest. He froze as he heard a muffled murmur of Toga, what he could not understand, and saw everyone looking at him with that only showed concern. A hand fell on his shoulder, and suddenly realized that Magne was right there beside him. The warmth from her hand grounded him. "Hey, Midoriya, it's okay." Izuku wondered why she was telling him that before he realized he was crying. Why was he crying? When did he start crying? Izuku didn't know. Now Toga was holding him tighter, and he could understand her as a threat to stab anyone for him, even including everyone else in the bar if he wanted to. If he wanted. Slowly, Izuku brought his arm up and wrapped them back around Toga. When she squeezed him again, he tightened his hold, letting his head be a problem. Toga said. Izuku let himself cry. Ah! Okay, we're done with that chapter. Um, oh, I have the words. A lot of emotion was happening in that chapter. Um, ah, I don't know how to explain that. Oh, anyways, I hope y'all enjoyed this chapter, and I hope y'all enjoyed this chapter, and uh, make sure you eat, sleep, and drink, and stay cooled off in this hot weather during the summer. Oh, no. Um, if you have any if you have any fic recommendations that you would like for me to podfic, please let me know down in the comments. Leave a like on the video if you if you liked it, and please subscribe. Still get used to this. And I will see y'all next time.